Hello and welcome to Core Finance in association with the Next Exchange. I'm joined here today by Tony Waters, who is Chief Executive of Ashley House. Thank you for coming on our show today, Tony. Right, start off, Ashley House. Who are you? What do you do? Where do you operate? And for some of our viewers, they may ask, where do you make your revenue and money?
Okay, well, Ashley House is a social developer. What I mean by that is we develop properties for health, housing and community sectors. We work predominantly with the public sector, with charities and with social enterprises. And we are there to help them achieve the best outcomes for their clients and produce cost-effective property solutions in those sectors. What does that actually mean? Well, we started the business in 1991 solely as a GP surgery developer. So we built new premises for doctors, and we continue to do that to this day. And over the years, we've diversified the business such that we build housing, mostly in the affordable sector, and we produce community buildings as well. And through our recent acquisition of F1 Modular, we can build modular homes in wider sectors such as education, retail, and even hotels. And
you mentioned being around since 1991, so speaking of your track record and expertise, certainly for investors and current shareholders, you've got a strong track record already in that sector. So can you just talk us through some of your bigger developments and potentially some of the developments that you'll be looking at?
Sure. 1991, we started up as a small business. It grew steadily through the 90s. It came up with a solution to GP development, GP surgery development, which hadn't been done before, and the way that it was modelled, and that enabled it to grow quite quickly. The turn of the century, it started to get bigger. It listed on OFX as it was in those days, and then later on AIM. But it was still into about the 2010s, start of this decade, where we sort of diversified the business a bit more into the housing, using the expertise that we'd got through GP surgery development into bigger developments, particularly in extra care, so elderly housing, which forms a big part of the business now. But as I say, we still continue to do our GP surgeries as well.
And what have you done in the way to change the way health and social housing and GP surgeries are developed?
Well, we look at them in the most creative ways. We look at funding creatively. So we're not linked to a fund as such. We have a number of funding partners. If the client, be it the local authority, be it a group of doctors, be it a housing association, want to own the property themselves, that's absolutely fine. Equally, if they want to rent it, we can find a funder that will own the end product. We work with our clients to find approaches that are suitable to the client, not to the way our business model works, which gives us a big variety of approaches to it. I mentioned just now the modular business that we recently invested into, and that again gives our clients ability to build things either traditionally, which we will continue to do and will form most of the pipeline of our schemes, but also through modular to build it in a factory where there's a lot of benefits to doing so, not least time and quality, which is far superior to if you're building it in a muddy field.
And well, the recent budget and recent updates from Theresa May as well, with regards to local housing allowance cap.
Yes.
Now, just for our viewers and shareholders, just talk us through what that means for Ashley House, and is this a positive step?
Absolutely, it's a positive step. What we build, if you take the extra care segment for a start, extra care is typically a block of flats, say 60 flats, so the resident has their own front door, they have their own fitted kitchen, living room, bathroom, bedroom, but it's in a block where there are other facilities. So there's a communal restaurant, there's a communal living space, and access to care facilities, most importantly. So somebody can then have their own individual space, but they can access the services as they require. Now what the government tried to do was to categorise that in the same way as other types of afforded housing, supported living, where there isn't the care facilities added to it. The cost of providing that is obviously greater because of those added benefits to it. The government realised that, and they've changed the way in which it's remunerated, which was lifting the local housing allowance cap, which applied to our sort of developments, albeit it wasn't coming in for a few years, it still stopped investment, which meant our pipeline of schemes got held up. In recent weeks, the government has announced that it's not going to apply the cap to our sort of development, and actually was promoting extra care as something councils should be doing because it is a cost-effective way of housing some of the elderly in our society, but in a way that they have much better outcomes for themselves, better health outcomes. There's less falls, there's less visits to A&E because of the way in which they are looked after in those homes, because the facilities are built specially for them. So the lifting of the cap has been a real positive, and it means we can push on and grow the business significantly and provide much needed housing accommodation of this sort across the country.
Well, that's great news. Moving on, do you find your role as CEO rewarding? And if so, what parts do you find rewarding?
Absolutely, I find it rewarding. If I didn't find it rewarding, I wouldn't do it. And I think that should be the case. What I find rewarding is the difference that we can make to people's lives. If you go into one of our developments and you can see for yourself the changes it's made to people's lives. We have abundance of case studies of people that have moved in from substandard accommodation into modern facilities where they have the ability to access care in the right way, but have their own living space. One of the key issues for some of the elderly residents that we help can be loneliness. They can combat that whilst having the right surroundings in which to live. So walking into one of our developments like that, the opening ceremonies and that sort of thing, when you can talk to residents and see what difference it's made and hear these case studies, is absolutely fabulous. And that's really rewarding for me and all of our staff.
And Ashley House is a founder member of the Social Stock Exchange.
Yeah.
Can you just explain what that is to our viewers, and why would being a member of the Social Stock Exchange be important to investors?
We've been very supportive of the Social Stock Exchange right from the original idea of when it came, because we saw the benefits of actually creating investments for people that not just produce a return. We are a for-profit organisation. We're listed on AIM as well as on NEX. But the idea behind the Social Stock Exchange is to identify investments for people that have a social purpose, a positive social purpose, as well as a financial return. So if you are investing in a range of different companies, you can actually understand where your money's going and what good it's doing and the social outcomes that we provide. We saw that as positive for three groups, really. Investors, certainly, because they have that ability and they don't have to do all the research themselves. We produce impact reports showing the benefits that we produce, which are available on our website and on the Social Stock Exchange's website. But also it's important for our employees. They get a real value from the fact that, as I said just now, that going into one of our developments and understanding that we make a positive social difference, and that's supported by the impact report and the work we do with the Social Stock Exchange. And then finally with our clients, because we're working with the public sector, they can view us, because we're a listed for-profit organisation, there's a danger of them mistrusting in terms of what we're trying to achieve. And the fact that we can point to the outcomes and the social impact report is very positive, and we get some very positive feedback from clients for that. So it is really positive for us, and it just enables us to show the social good that we are achieving.
Good stuff. And finally, 25 years experience in the market as Ashley House. Where do you see the next 2 years to 5 years? Where would you like Ashley House to be? At the moment, a profitable company. Would you like to grow?
Absolutely. We feel that we are at a very good place at the moment with the lifting of the LHA cap that we've mentioned has unlocked a big part of our pipeline. We have a big pipeline of housing schemes. We have the ability to build those out and to continue to do those, because there is a demand in the market for those. As we know, the recent reports on the housing crisis, there is need for the developments that we produce. We've also have the health side of things, which again in the recent budget there was money allocated to health infrastructure, which is much needed. A lot of GP surgeries in poor premises, and then also we have the modular business, which we look to grow and expand into different markets. So a lot of the work we're doing there in the education sector, which fits with modular very well, because of the time aspect of it. So you have a small window in school holidays to deliver in the new classrooms, for example. Ideally suits modular. You can build it in term time and deliver it in holiday time. So all those areas are areas that we can see grow, and that says Ashley House is well positioned to grow in the coming years.
Well, fantastic. Well, in the meantime, Tony from Ashley House, the Chief Executive, thank you very much for joining us here today.
Thank you.